This video will demonstrate the basic setup for iCW, sending Morse code over the internet using just Mumble and an external sidetone generator. You can use your key, your paddle, your bug, even a keyboard, and your keyer, and some sort of a code practice oscillator or sidetone from your keyer. I'm doing it this way. I'm using my logic keyer, and I've unhooked the speaker leads and sending it instead over to a W3 NQN filter to filter out the square wave harmonics, and sending that filtered audio over to the sound card input. So I'm able to use my paddles here, this keyer, and this filter. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. Some side tones already sound pretty good, but this one was pretty harsh. So this seemed like a pretty easy. I already had this filter and it was pretty easy to modify. There's actually an article about it, and we'll go over that in a bit. So let's go ahead and jump over to the iCW server with Mumble, and we'll demonstrate how this works with just a basic setup using just Mumble as a software and inputting the audio from a code practice oscillator or the sidetone from a keyer or even from your rig, and just run an audio cable from there over to the line in or mic in input of your sound card. And I'll go over that in just a second, but let's show you how it works first. So here's the iCW server already set up, and we have a member on there, and I am iCW for the moment for this video. So let's say hello to Chuck. Okay, and that's how easy it is. Let's go up. You left click and hold your call sign, And mine for right now, I'm just using iCW for this video. And you grab it, and to go to a different channel, which isolates it, go up to the newcomer channel, and there's a message error, and if you let your mouse hover on the title, you get a little message about the instructions and the general etiquette for when you come onto the server for the first time. And there's a little CW playing, so we'll come up here just to test. Once you log into the server, you come up to this room and log in here, just kind of drop in here to this room to see if you're actually receiving anything. We also have, for iCW members, we have an ICOM 735 remote, and it'll tell you what frequency it's on. And all official ham radio operators with official licenses are welcome to use this. You just have to keep it legal by saying at the end of every 15 minutes, you just add AA0HW remote, St. Louis, Missouri. And we have several nets that some of the ICW operators will come into here so they can participate in the HF nets. And we have some QRQ ops that do that for the FOG net and also for the CFO nets on a weekly basis. Okay, so let's step out of here for a while and let me show you how to get this done. And we'll go ahead and mute everything for now. Okay, so the first software we're going to need is Mumble. So if you'll go to mumble.sourceforge.net, and you can get the stable or the developer snapshot. Go ahead and download that, install it. It will ask you to run an audio test, wizard test, and that's okay. It'll also ask you for a certificate. Just use the default automatic generated one and just click yes and get that done. Once you've logged into the server, it's going to ask you for an address, and you'll get something like this. And click Add New, and then plug in this information here. And this is how you are able to get to the server. So let's go ahead and do that. So Add New, and just type in ICW at the top, w5uxh.dynedns.org. The port is 34749, and the username, put in your call sign here, so I'll put in my call sign, AA0HW, and then click Connect. And you'll be greeted with another permission certificate, and just click yes on that. Everything's pretty automatic, so just go ahead and click yes, and you only have to do that once usually, and then you'll be able to log into the server. Okay. So that's all there is for Mumble as far as downloading and installing. Now let's get the settings correct for Mumble. So go to Configure, Settings, and try to put in what you see here. The most important ones are the quality and audio per packet, as well as the audio processing. You want the noise suppression off, so turn it all the way to the left. The amplification, you want it to be at 1, so that's all the way to the left. The compression, you want the quality all the way to the right. The audio per packet to start out with, all the way to the right. Both the audio per packet and the quality, but especially the audio per packet, will determine how well your audio goes out over the net. And some computers are different, so if you lower this value, you can get faster QSK, and we have full duplex on Mumble and ICW, so anybody and everybody can talk all at the same time, so you don't have to wait for somebody to say over or to hit push to talk. It's already full duplex the way we have it set up here. But not every computer and every router can handle 10 millisecond audio per packet, and so you may not notice any audio dropouts, but other people connected to the server might. So start out here, and we'll run another test here in a second. Start out here and lower it just one notch at a time and see how you do. And on mine I can usually run about 20 and it does okay, but for right now I'll just do this. You want on transmit, you want to click the amplitude, and the silence and the speech, just kind of how you see it here, just select it. Transmit, you want voice activity so that it's sort of like a Vox. So you're not going to be transmitting until you actually send some CW. So I'm going to send some CW, and this is a VU meter. And that's about as far as the volume. That's where you want that green line to stop. Now to adjust this, go to your Windows speaker, and right-click and hit Playback Devices. Then we're going to hit Recording. I'm using my laptop and a mic in jack. And these are some of the more important settings to have if you get it right, otherwise you're going to distort. So click Microphone, Properties, and Levels. So this is where my level is. As you see, if I take it all the way left, it doesn't get anything. So we'll go back up to 10. That's not too bad. But if we take it too far, you're going to activate. Mumble has an AGC circuit, and if you activate it, it's going to add distortion to your signal. So we want to get our level just under to the point where it activates the AGC circuit on Mumble. And then seems to be just about right about there. So if you keep yours right about there, you'd probably be doing pretty good. So that should put you in pretty good shape. So make sure you have this microphone boost off, because that will add a ton of distortion to your signal if you're using the mic in jack. And that's what I'm using for now, because that's all my laptop has. It doesn't have a line in it. It only has a mic in. The other part of this, you can set the sample rate. Mine seems to work okay at 48K, and this is the sample rate of Mumble, and it might provide a better match if you're able to do that on yours. Don't worry about it if all you have is 44.1, that's okay too. Okay, so levels, we don't have to worry about listening, because we're not going to listen through this device because there's a delay. I'll show you how to do that in a second. Okay, so we've set the level. That looks pretty good, so you're in pretty good shape there. So we're done with that as far as the microphone. On the playback, click Speakers and Properties and Levels. This is how you're able to hear your microphone jack, and you're able to hear your sidetone. So I'm not listening to the sidetone through my Keyer speaker because I have it detached and it's sending the audio to a filter. However, I can monitor the mic in jack by unmuting the microphone on the speaker's property. And you can set the volume to however loud you would like to hear it. So I'll set mine right there for now. And this is just the general volume of my speakers in general. So that's all set. It's unmuted. I can hear my sidetone. That's in pretty good shape. So we'll click OK. Hit Apply. Always hit Apply or the settings won't stick. So for the audio input, these are the basic, simple settings to use. Okay, let's go to the audio output tab. You want to set this, well, first on the audio input, make sure you're using either your line-in jack, or if you don't have one, use the microphone jack. So that's set. And on the audio output, you want this to be your speakers. And turn off positional. It usually comes checked with positional. Default jitter buffer again, so that you don't get audio dropouts right away. Use the maximum settings and take it all the way to the right, which is 50 milliseconds. Volume I just have set at 100. Output delay, take it all the way to the right. That'll be 100. You can trim these back once we start testing and see if you can hear your own testing, which I'll show you in a second, without any audio dropouts or pops or clicks. So the lower the setting, the faster response to the server and back, and the less delay, which is good. But the audio dropouts can get pretty intense if your computer or your router or your IP provider cannot handle that speed. So the only way to find out is to test it. But even at this is only 100 to 150 millisecond delay. Okay. So now hit Apply and then OK. And we'll unmute this. Now when you drop into the room, you're going to go to the testing room. So left click, hold your call sign, go up to the testing room. First thing to do is configure, settings, watch the VU meter, and your little icon here in this right next to the left of the call sign should turn red. and it does. And you see the VU meter going. Now to test how your own sound sounds, how you sound like, go to the audio output tab, go to the loop back test on the audio output tab, and test the server. Click it on server and click apply. Now we're going to hear it come back at me. I'm sending one dit. That dit's going to California and back to St. Louis about that speed at these settings. Now I'm going to show you what I mean, how fast this gets if I turn these down. So I have it at 10 milliseconds each, which is as fast as you can get. And we'll go to the audio input tab and turn this down to 10. So this is as fast as it gets from St. Louis to California and back to St. Louis. The audio per packet will send it out faster at 10 milliseconds. So that means everybody's going to hear you faster, and it just makes for a better conversation. You may have noticed that if you've ever used a VoIP phone, and if there's too much delay, it's very hard to interrupt each other, and the other person goes, what? You go, what? And back and forth. So it's nice to be able to trim this down. So I'm going to take this back to 20 because that seems to work better for me on all of these. My router doesn't handle 10 that well. Hit apply. Always hit apply when you're changing this stuff. When you're finally done with the loopback test, don't forget to get out of server because nobody else can hear you and you can't hear anybody else while you're in loopback test. Okay, now let's go ahead and mute the mic jack so we can't hear it and we can only hear it bouncing back. So I'm going to mute this. So I'm sending, but I'm only hearing it. So I'm just going to send some dits. Okay, now let's see if we can trim down to 10 on both of these. And you send it for a while. And if you can do that for a minute or so, you're in pretty good shape without hearing any pops or clicks. So I can probably listen at these settings on the audio output. Now let's see if I can send. And again, when you adjust the audio per packet to its lowest setting and hit apply. Oh, did you hear that pop? So that means that I'm going to have some audio dropouts and some packet delays, which is going to cause an audio glitch. So let's try it at 20. So that's probably long enough to not worry about it. The internet has its own QRN and QRM that's kind of unique to sending CW this way. That's pretty good. So for my settings, I'm not hearing any audio glitches. I'm not hearing any pops or clicks from settings being too low. So I'll go ahead and leave this right here. Again, click apply. We'll click none. So you're not using the loopback test anymore. And that's pretty much all we need for that. Okay, so let's go up to the ICOM room. Anybody is welcome to use this. If you're an official ham with an official ham radio license, you just need to, every 15 minutes, add the information for this remote is AA0HW remote, St. Louis, Missouri, after you give your call sign. If you'll go up to the newcomers room again, there's a message there. When you drop into the server, you can check that. And it's just a message, and it has a pop-up message. Just leave your mouse hovering over it. It just gives a little bit of information about the server and some of the etiquette. Okay. So let's drop out of there for now. And we'll go ahead and mute the speakers. You can mute your mic, and you can still hear, or you can mute everything where you can't hear or send anything. And let's go talk about sidetones. Here's an article. How I did it. I used the typical CW audio filter from W3NQN and took the last transformer off, the output transformer, and instead put this potentiometer on it and a little bit of circuit there, which you can see at the bottom right here. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm setting this potentiometer about midway, and that's what's going into my mic in jack. And this seemed to have worked very well. But that's just one way. As before, you heard Chuck, W5UXH, and he sounded very good straight right in from his K3 side tone. There are other options. You can make your own. We have one member of iCW. This is our main page here. We have one member who made his own side tone right here. You can read about that article. If you have even a raggedy side tone with just harsh harmonics, you can still use that. It just doesn't sound that good to everybody else. So it really pays off to find a way to filter that just a little bit. So that's basically how to send Morse code over the internet on iCW using a very simple setup with Mumble, your pedal, your key, your bug, a side tone generator. Thanks for listening. I hope we can see you on here sometime. Thanks.